No, Pika, you're not going anywhere near the visitors. You know, I wouldn't want them to get unhinged around you. Oh, that was a pun. A really bad pun. Hey, it's Reverend Sully, Eric O'Sullivan, ordained on the internet. The caveat, as always, please do not burn your hands holding on to my hot takes. If you do, well, that's on you, pal, or gal, or anyone in between in the great spectrum of humanity. Oh, yeah, good cup of coffee. Today, just some love for the 1983 1984 science fiction masterpiece of my childhood, V, the miniseries, and its follow up, V, the final battle. I mean, this took up a huge part of my imagination and my friends as well. We all watched it when it came out. I think I was blessed to have caught it in rerun a few years later when we had a VCR and I taped them both. So I had them all growing up through high school on VHS. And I'm very blessed to have found them for very inexpensive on Blu-ray. I get everything on Amazon. I'm evil. I have a huge carbon footprint. Or do I? I don't have a car. I never have, so I don't contribute to my carbon footprint over there either. So maybe it balances. Who knows if we should even have a footprint this big. But we do know that Earth's precious. We know this because aliens want what we got. These aliens here. It was a great miniseries. It was kind of like it was the best you can get for network television. It was a huge day of sci-fi. This was went into production in 1982, released in 1983, and its follow-up series came out in 1984. It was then followed by a very short-lived one season of a serialized TV series. They try to get as much out of this little show as possible. And but not to bore you with the details, this is going somewhere. This is going to its comic book. I want to just go through this comic book really quick. This is from my spinner rack. On the top shelf of my spinner rack, I like keeping them in plain view, and usually facing outward too. And this says everything you kind of need to know about V, the visitors who came from outer space, masqueraded as humans, pretending to be beneficial for the human race. Yet it turns into the plot of a Twilight Zone episode to serve man. It's a cookbook. They're here to steal our water, which is one of the universe's most precious resources, and to use humanity as either food stock or slave labor. And ain't that just a little something for your 10 and 11-year-olds to watch every night? But it had a message too. It had a message of totalitarianism, of relying upon what the media is giving you to as balanced with your direct experience and what you feel is going on in the world. As Bob Dylan said in that song a long time ago, you don't need to be a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Haha. But V, it was just a really interesting and well done sci-fi miniseries. Hours of great entertainment and a good world to get lost in too. I used to read all the paperbacks as well. It was fun, and I got a few issues of the comic book as well. And so this takes place after V: The Final Battle. Okay, this has a cover date of March 1985. It's Indicia inside. Has a 1984 copyright DC Comics 84. So with the cover, Okay, see that? There we go. The cover, it's issue number 2. Goes for 75 cents. Canada, it goes for 95 cents. In the UK, it goes for 35 pence. And it's been approved by the Comics Code Authority. And March 85. Okay, this would come off the newsstand in 1985. It was printed and released before that. This probably came out about December 1984. And I'm 12 years old and bought this new. And it's just that these stories do not matter to the continuity of the TV series. So they take place in a kind of parallel series, and this only went a few issues. Let's see where this says on the wiki here. Doesn't say anything on the wiki here about the comic book, the comic book. Just want to see how long it went. There was also another series that came out in the 2010s. Let's just see that real quickly. View the new series. I think it was a 2009 TV series. It was a remake and a reboot of the 1983 miniseries, and then I guess it went maybe in its own direction, but it held pretty much the same tenets of the show. I wouldn't know because I didn't watch any of it, and I just couldn't do that to myself. But the V went 18 issues. It wrapped up in issue 18. Doesn't say anything about the plot. It's the final issue, yeah, and it was released cover date of July 1986. So yeah, it went 3 years. That's 18 issues. It's one a month. That's 3 years of publication. That's not that bad. So yeah, let's look at the comic book. Here's the ad on the back of it. All right, it's for the Ghostbusters Activision game for your Commodore 64. Isn't that cool? Ghostbusters. And the inside cover, we have the Superpowers action figures. These are actually pretty good. I've had a few of these action figures. They were like the last action figures I had. Specifically, that Green Lantern action figure was my favorite. And you could squeeze his legs, and he would make punching motions. And that was cool. But first thing we see here is, our issue 2 intro page. We have what's going on here. And we're introduced to the town with no shame. I'm going to read for you the square blocks here. That's called narrative voice, as opposed to the voice bubbles, which is actual dialogue bubbles. And only recently sometimes the narrative box becomes the internal monologue of a certain character. So that sometimes changes, and sometimes, the font and coloring in the box will change for the internal monologue going on. I just want to say this is written by a few legends going on here. So DC writer Cary Bates. This was penciled by Carmine Infantino. He's the one who did the Flash and he gave us the Modern Flash, Modern Kid Flash. This guy's a legend. The editor for this title is Marv Wolfman, and the colorist is Michelle Wolfman. The letterer is Carrie Spiegel, and its inker is Tony De Zuniga. And we're introduced foremost here. We got Julie and Mike Donovan. They're the power couple. We got Robert Englund's Willie, the alien who switched sides to be in the rebellion. First thing off the bat, we've got Hamilton Tyler and his best friend and sidekick, Chris Faber. And I can actually hear the Michael Ironside's voice in this. You're red meat, sucker. And you're a hamburger, pal. Yes. We have, I love the ads. Okay, and look, a full page ad for the upcoming, it's called Universe. DC Universe, Crisis on Infinite Earths. You see that banner down below? That was its original, it had to have been its original title. I mean, it just probably went to Crisis on Infinite Earths instead of DC Universe, Crisis on Infinite Earths. But check that out. I didn't know that. We have the Visitors. We have to establish that they're evil. So, Leader Diana here has one of her own security people killed before everyone else because they're evil. They're totalitarians. Remember this? And they're here to exploit. Let's see. And this is the town with no shame. Apparently the town is in league with the Visitors so that they stay away from them. And then we have a B story here with Ham Tyler and Chris Faber avoiding a visitor security patrol. They're trying to get desperate munitions to the resistance. And then we've got Mike and Julie and Willie in the town with no shame in the A story. And then we got a kind of a C story showing Diana on the mothership. Oh, this is always one of the most fun pages in a comic book. The ads page. Okay, this is 1984. This is before the internet. This is how you would find and buy things. Like if you wanted to get some comic books, a person would put a listing of their collection, and you would make an arrangement. You'd probably call the phone, long distance. You used to have something called long distance rates, where you would get charged extra for calling out of your area code. Yeah, that's like 20th century thing. Bet you might not. Younger readers would not know that. And we've got Remco toys. We've got the Warlord, Arak, Hercules, Machiste, Nicola, and Demios. Yeah. Who? Yeah, exactly. The Warlord. I like this too. It's the Meanwhile page. It's from editorial usually, where they just talk about the state of like what's going on at that publishing house, and also the checklist, like what's going on, what's been published the same month. We got Action Comics 565, a Superman solo tale, plus another chapter with the Ambush Bug, who was new at the time. We got Detective Comics 548, the Catwoman is back, and a Green Arrow story. We got Tales of the Legion of Superheroes 321. Dawnstar and Brainiac 5 find themselves in uncharted space. World's Finest Comics 313. Can Superman and Batman get the network off the air for good? We've got All-Star Squadron number 43. Action with the Guardian, the Sandman, Sandy, and the Manhunter. There's Arion, he's the Prince of Atlantis. 29. Atlantis is besieged, and Arion's power is not enough. We got Spanner's Galaxy number 4. That's a big one going back. Bacca catches up with Spanner and Gadag. We got the Sun Devils number 9. A traitor in the ranks is revealed. We got America versus the JSA number 3. The JSA is tried for treason, and the Wizard is back. And V issue 2. What mysterious deal has a small town struck with the aliens? All to entice your interest in buying things this month. And there's also the mailbag. So this is issue 2. It doesn't have a proper answering mail yet. And and there's the corporate banner. Jeanette Kahn, Dick Giordano, Marv Wolfman is the editor. You know what I mean? It goes down the list. And the final page and these ads gotta be the most expensive ads for the advertiser for coming in here. So you got Warner Brothers. They probably didn't have to pay much or maybe it was Kenner, but it's about some syzygy. We got monogram models. Remember, models have always been huge. So I remember this model. It would actually transform, lame style, like a transformer, but it was a huge version of the tiny GoBot toy you were getting at the time. But it was a plastic model, so it had all the, limitations of being a plastic model, being like brittle. And, if the more you manipulate it, the quicker it's going to fall apart on you too. I had the Skull One Veritech, and it was a nice Revell. It's a really nice model, but it had rubber gaskets at its knees and its elbows, and so it was transformable, but it changing mode takes its toll on the models. But yeah, so that's just a walkthrough of a random issue of a licensed product from one of the big two comics. This is a comic book from late 1984. I was 12 years old. The Final Battle aired in May of '84. So if this was written and released sometime in between May and November, December of 1984. Yeah, and it had no clue of what was going on with the TV show, and so it doesn't matter. If you're really care about the canon of V. Yeah, let's argue about the canon of V. Does Elizabeth be the Empress? And should that have been the continuity of the new show? And yeah, whatever. You know what? Go watch V or V the Final Battle. I believe it's on Peacock. And check it out. And it's a little old school, and it's the best special effects that money could buy at the time. And also for just the simple fact of act breaks. You're going to see where the commercials were supposed to fit. But act break structure does a lot for storytelling. It makes it you're going to be like, oh, I remember when movies used to, feel this way, when they had a sense of pacing. You had to fit the pacing to fit the act structure. You had to make your story beats, and layer them correctly. And then and it all leads to your end. So there's a certain lost art to the act structure beats in television productions, because they're just a little different than movie productions, because movie productions typically have a 3-act structure, and I believe an hour-long television show has 5, and a sitcom might have like a 4. See, it's about the commercial breaks, but hey, it's out there for us to learn. Isn't that great? So yeah, respect your act breaks in your fiction. It goes a long way with the pacing and your overall enjoyment of it as well. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. You know what? Give me a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't. I'm a big lad. I can handle it. Put a comment in the comments section. Let's continue this comic book conversation. We're talking more about comic books lately, and I'm welcome for it. We're going to have to dip into the past, into my spinner rack, into my long boxes. And so we're going to go for a deep dive and just keep coming up with things to talk about. All right? And I'm an ordained minister. I'm an amateur theologian, so we get spiritual quite often. We say, let's get spiritual, and we do. I'm also I'm a professional chef, so I make delicious, nutritious, and beautiful-looking food, and I share these restaurant-level hacks with you, so you can make this food for your table and break with your family. Don't take any of this time eating together for granted. We are blessed to have each other in our lives. Thank you so very much for tuning in and checking out some sci-fi, and maybe you're gonna go watch it next, and then we can have a conversation of, oh my God, that was on TV. Yeah, it really was. Cheers and have a great day.